Namaste, konnichiwa, hello. Welcome to the Nupur Tiwari Show, episode number 14, presented by Hill Tokyo and Hill India. And we are really grateful to you for your continuous help and support and love as well. Today's guest, a great humanitarian, a spiritual guru, but he doesn't like to be called guru. Rather, he wants to be a companion. And he is none other than Mohanji. With big applause, let's welcome Mohanji. Namaste, Mohanji.
Namaste.
And welcome to the Nupur Tiwari Show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing me here.
Thank you so much for giving your time. And I feel so many miles away we are, but I can feel that positivity here with me. And the world would love to know that PK Mohan, how he became Mohanji. Like, we are very much curious to know, like, what actually happened that made you today's Mohanji.
I believe we all have our deep urge to know who we actually are. But what happens is the usual habitual life does not give us that opportunity. When we wake up in the morning, we are already in a habitual mode, habitual thinking, habitual actions. Everything is kind of repetitive. So at some point in time, you start to think, hey, is this life? Is this what I want to do in life? Is this what I am born for? This question sometimes really becomes an urge. And the shift I can say in my life was in 2000, August 23rd, I lost my daughter in a road accident. She was 4.5 years old, 4 years and few months. And I was very deeply connected to her. Suddenly, when she exited from my life, I asked this question, what is life all about? But instead of sinking in sorrows, I decided to explore. That was my first trip to Himalayas. And I did not know what I was looking for. Like most people do not know what they are looking for. They know there is something else, but not knowing what. So I started searching, and I met a few masters or spiritual people. But then I was not happy to go a choreographed path, a beaten track. The problem with a beaten track is that it destroys your individuality. I believe that we must maintain our individuality and find ourselves. Then only it becomes authentic. See, I can't be somebody else. I can only be Mohanji. And that's fine. So I started exploring. And I was working in the Middle East as a country head of a company at that time. And work was good, money was good, job was fine, everything was fine. But then the vacuum inside, the deep vacuum for knowing the truth was predominant. I used to wake up early in the morning at 2:30 every day, take a bath. I had very little hair. Otherwise, you can't take a bath with all this hair. So I used to take a bath. I used to sit down and I used to connect to my spine. Spine was my stairway to heaven. See, we are always oriented to the front, right? Eyes, nose, mouth, everything is focused to the front side. We hardly know we have a spine unless we have a spine pain in the spine. So the whole idea was sit down and feel the spine, and then start feeling the spine. That means you are completely going to the backward. That means you are going in 360-degree. Otherwise, we are only in 120-degree. So this started becoming habitual. Then after a while, you can see yourself doing things. It's like a witnesshood, a constant witnesshood. You're witnessing, you're watching. And that shift happened automatically. That involvement, that my doership, I am doing, Mohanji is doing, I am Mohanji, that started reducing. And it's happening through me. So doing to happening, that was a big leap. And then it started changing. But the answer to the question is, it was a deep urge to know what is this whole thing about. There must be a deeper story. than what is obvious.
Exactly. So, why did you choose Himalaya? Like, why is it always right to go to Himalaya to find ourselves?
Well, I later on now I wouldn't say so. Earlier, I was not knowing where to go, and I had some contact in Himalayas, so naturally I went there. Basically, to be very honest, I wanted to escape from the circle of sorrows soon after my daughter left, because everybody was dull and sulking and crying, and I just wanted to get out of this to have some fresh air. And the right place to go at that point in time, which I could afford. I didn't have money as well. That time I was not having that kind of money. In fact, I didn't have money to travel by flight. I went by train. So that potential location was Himalayas, where it was affordable. And also, I don't call it a mistake because it helped me. But now I feel, if you ask me now, I would say that where you are sitting is Himalayas. It's a mindset, which I later on found out. And you don't have to go anywhere to find peace. If you can't find peace within you, wherever you go, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
So you got to find that thing within you. The Himalayas are inside,
Mhm.
and what you want to really find, it's already inside. So now I know this, but that time I did not know.
Yeah, that one was the process, I
Yes,
guess.
it
So,
was.
how was the experience in Himalaya?
Well, initially, what I felt was nobody really cared about you. That was a great feeling. When I was in the corporate business, it was like, who are you? You plus the company, you plus the position. All these things are very important. How much money you have in your bank, all those things are important. But when you go to Himalayas, I was walking barefoot. I was wearing just a cloth around me, and nobody really looked at me. Nobody really cared. Nobody asked me, what do you do? Where are you from? Or when are you going back? Or how much money you have? Nobody cared. So that became a big relief for me. It was a big escape because you don't have to tell who you are. It doesn't matter what's your name, where are you coming from, what's your color, complexion, location. So this was a big relief for me. That was my first impression.
So,
Later on,
yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yes.
later on
Go ahead.
later on that led to a more deeper connection, because when you do not have to interact with people, you have all the time for yourself, which you don't find in the society. We are habitually interacting with people. We have to call people, talk to people, share space and time and energy. This is not required there. So I thought, oh, okay, then I have some time for myself. So basically, I used to go to Himalayas to be with myself.
And Mohanji found himself in Himalaya.
Well, I like to believe I did. I like to believe I found myself. Yeah.
So, Himalaya is the place where really spiritual journey started, I guess, for
Yes.
you.
Yes. That thought, that quest became a kind of journey there. There was a thought before. It actually eventually became a journey in Himalayas. But again, as I told in the beginning, I do not want to tell that I went there with full awareness. I had no awareness. I did not know what I was looking for. So when I went there, I was literally trying to find what is this whole thing about, that. And also the when you interact with too many people, it always confuses you. Have you observed, when you talk to 10 people, 10 people will give you 20 opinions. So you don't know what to
Very
trust.
true.
Yeah, so this was my thing. I just decided to follow my path. First, I was people. I heard about blank state of no thought, state of not no thought is possible. We have that in the deep sleep state every night. In deep sleep, there is no thought. So I wanted to experience that no thought while I am awake, and it wasn't easy. So like that, it was experimentation, one after the other. I was trying to figure out this whole thing. But later on, I entered the no thought state. Then I realized it's not a permanent state. So everything is experiments. I call myself an experiential spiritualist. Means if I can't experience, I wouldn't talk about it.
Exactly. So, corporate world where you were in before entering in spiritual world, and today you are in spiritual world, it's totally different place.
Yeah.
Like in corporate world, people are really just chasing name, fame, and money,
Yes.
and you are in spiritual world, you are spreading love. So how these, and you are experiencing these two phases of life in one life.
Yeah.
So how, what would you like to say today to those people who are in corporate? What would be your message to them?
Yeah, that's a very realistic question, Nopur. That's a very important question because see, this question happened to me earlier also. Am I faking this whole thing? When I was actually working as the country head of a company, I asked this question: Am I running away? Am I escaping into something which is unrealistic? Because you can't, it's not tangible, right? What is happening within you, you cannot show. It's happening. So two things I can tell you. One is the practice. Practice, I used to practice early in the morning, 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. 8:30 I'm in the office. So 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. was my time. So we must have our time. Usually what happens is that we don't have our time. We have sold all our time for money to the in the corporate world. We are selling our time and we are earning money. But we must have our time. This is our birthright. And I found that that time, the quality of it is possible only in the early morning hours when nobody calls you. When your phones are silent and you are free. That's my time, my personal time. And at that time, I was alone. I didn't have a relationship, so I was pretty much alone. That helped me as well. So even if I have parties in the night, whatever happens, this time was very precious for me. Even if I sleep at 12 o'clock, I get up at 2:30 and I'm fresh because this time gives you the whole strength, stability, and purposefulness. Then you're selling your time for money from 8:30 onwards until whatever time you come back home. So that's okay because you already have a balance. So number one, I would like to tell the corporate people is to make that balance, which nobody can give you except you. It won't, you can't buy it with money. You can buy alcohol or some kind of distraction with money, but this personal time and connection to yourself you cannot buy with money. This is the most precious thing which money can't buy. Secondly, going to a place for relaxation, that's what we normally do. We take a vacation and go to a place and come back more tired. We get more tired by going to somewhere than we are here. When,
Exactly.
yeah, so that going to a place is okay, provided you can have your time there also. Go for isolation. Isolation doesn't mean that you should not talk to people, but spending your own time in different locations, connecting to yourself. Like you're going to a beach, spend some time with yourself. Then rest of the time you spend time with your family. So there should be your time, personal time. And this is what I was strictly uh, following even now. Even now, I do have my personal time. And there are times when I completely cut off. And that time, I'm not available. So that level, if we can position ourselves, we become so powerful. No emotions or no distractions will touch us deeply. Then we are more effective.
Exactly. So, as we are talking about the corporate life, today's world, like most of the people are chasing really name, fame, money, and the materialistic things. So, how they can become, like, how to start their journey to be a spiritual being?
Well, this is the training, right? We are trained to be somebody. The
Yes,
education system, the society tells you you got to make your name, you got to make your fame, and all those things. But do that, no problem. But how do you do that? It should be with your authenticity. We have only something. We are the best thing sitting within us is our authenticity. We are one example that we are authentic is our thumb impression. This is unique to ourselves. So we have authenticity. We fail to believe in it. This is our problem. We look at somebody, we compare, we compete. These are draining us. But instead, how can you be having you? How can you be a legend? You can. How? If you really believe in yourself, your authenticity, your uniqueness, which is true to you. See, I cannot be somebody else, and I don't have to be somebody else. Somebody else cannot be me, and it's a shame if they try to be me. So, what is good for us is really being ourselves. I can only be Mohanji, and I'm happy to be Mohanji. I will die as Mohanji. Now, this is the investment I'm making.
And we are very happy to have you as
Thank you.
Mohanji.
Thank you. So what I mean to say is that the habitual chasing of name, fame, glory, money should be shifted to that whole aspect inside you. Believe in it. Then it manifests as the truth outside. Instead of chasing outside, you compete with yourself, you improve yourself, you talk to yourself, accept yourself. First and foremost, acceptance, total acceptance. The moment you start accepting yourself with all your weaknesses, like we all have weaknesses, we all have strengths. Nobody is only strength. I never ever believed that I'm only strength, and I know I'm not. So accept the weaknesses equally, not glorify it. I have weaknesses, I have strengths. So what I'm investing on is my strength, and while allowing the weakness to stay there. We are not competing, fighting, resisting. So how much of time is saved? Most of the time we are trying to pretend, or we are trying to prove to the world that we are great. We don't have to. Our life will prove it. Our
Exactly.
integrity will prove it. So
That's
what we
so true.
believe in, if we are consistent in our belief, if we have integrity, that will prove to the world. We don't have to prove anything else. World doesn't need all that proof. So,
That's true.
so my message to the corporate leaders is basically explore that uniqueness in you, and that should be your contribution, and that will bring glory to you. Glory, money, power, position, everything comes to you if you invest in your own uniqueness. That unique flavor is your delivery, or your contribution to the world.
So beautifully you explained. And we would love to go back to your childhood now, because now you are enlightening us. You are giving so much knowledge to us. So how was your childhood? Have you ever thought that you will become the today who you are?
I don't think I had a great childhood. I mean, nothing special, I feel. Only one thing which I actually remember, which actually became a crisis in my life at that stage, was probably 5 years or 6 years, when the teacher asks you in the class, what would you like to be when you grow up? I wrote, I would like to be alone. I don't know why I wrote this. I had no clue why I wrote this. That time it was not with awareness. Then the teacher freaked out. Everybody is writing doctor, engineer, pilot, astronaut, and all that. But I wrote, I would like to be alone. And teacher freaked out, and she said, this is a retarded child. And she wanted me to go out of the school. I mean, so she provoked my parents to take me off the school. But then somehow I managed to continue, and I wasn't really keen on the usual regular education, which now I say I feel that it was nice not to have crammed my brain with theories, concepts. Because what happens, even in spiritual journey, see, I wouldn't call myself as a spiritualist, I would rather call myself as a humanitarian, because I believe in human beings. I believe in the capacity of human beings, and the dimensions which we can achieve. So, but in even in spiritual path, many people do not achieve the highest because they eat concepts continuously from books. They swallow it, and they believe that these things should happen. Many of these concepts are people's opinions. They are opinions of people. Because see, Nupur can experience only what is as per your capacity. I cannot say that, oh, that capacity is not good enough. That's not my job. Your capacity is fine for you. So if we take a concept and we decide this is how our reality should be, it may not work. But if you take yourself and you go for your own realities, it will work 100%. So that there is the progress. So in my childhood, I can't remember too many great things, because I was a loner, and I was probably very introverted, and nothing great in childhood. But I used to love poetry. I used to write poetry. I used to write a lot of stuff, various things. But for me, the real shift happened with my daughter's exit. That time I was in my 30s. So that's a death of one life and beginning of another life.
That's really changed your life, but it didn't have to change, that sad way. actually. But what do you think? She had to go today. What do you feel? Like she had to go?
Well, that's a big question. Very difficult to say. Well, I can only say it happened so, but sometimes a rude shock shifts you completely. It literally turns you upside down. And when I see death and destruction today, I feel that it's madness. The wars and the destructions and deaths, what did we gain by all this? By conquering lands and people, what do we gain? Instead, use that time to conquer your own mind. The mind which is pushing you to conquer other things outside should be controlled. That's a real conquest. Otherwise, there is nothing you're conquering. Whatever we buy or take from outside world, we have to leave behind when we die.
True.
So there is nothing we are conquering. And I feel that, my God, 6 million people died in World War. 6 million Jews were killed by Hitler's army. Then so many people killed by Pol Pot. All these things, when I hear, I feel that why this madness? What is that? What is the beauty of? What is the benefit of killing? The beauty is in living, experiencing, loving. So we got to change our mindset. We have that capacity. So coming back to your question, why she exited in a dramatic way, I do not know, but that really made an effect in my life. That's that much I can say. And that effect is visible in today's world. We started Act Foundation, Ammukare. Ammukare is 17 years old now. We are doing a lot of charity work. Act Foundation in many countries, America, in UK, in South Africa, in various countries. So we are somehow touching the lives of a lot of people. I never made a plan. I still don't have an agenda. All I did was to create a platform where people can come and work, and it worked. So that dramatic exit of Ammu made all these things in the world. Did I plan it? Absolutely not. I didn't plan it. It just happened.
So, like today, I'd like to say, like today is my 8 years ago, I lost my father.
Oh,
So, mm,
sorry.
and definitely, like 1 year, it was like why he had to go. All of a sudden, he left. Today, when I look back, I feel that um, it's not that everything happens for good, because we are a human being. We definitely cannot take it that way. So, but it made you the person you have to be. This world or universe is expecting from you. So that was, and that is the reason I asked you the question, because after my father's death, I did a lot of things which I never planned before. So that I think there is someone somewhere is planning for us. So what is your opinion on that?
Well, I would call this an awakening. Something which was already sitting in you, waiting to wake up. And some trigger happens. See, on a normal conditioned life, it will not happen because we are used to certain patterns and we continue with the patterns. We don't have to change. But suddenly, a spark happens, something totally dramatic, totally unpredictable, unexpected happens. Then you wake up. And then the dimensions that opens up, probably you would never have imagined in your wildest dreams. Even for me, I was a chronic introvert. If somebody tells me you should go and speak to people, it was impossible for me. Even when I was heading a company, I would avoid all sorts of public things. That much introversion. But now today I find myself speaking to people, and people apparently likes it. So these kind of things, it's you can't really plan. Of course, as you said, the nature has its plan, maybe beyond our plan. And also, one thing I firmly believe, if what I do is not important for the nature, nature will not support it. If what I do is good for the world takes it over. So, if our activities are selfless, and if our aim is to enhance the lives of people and the beings around us, definitely nature will take it over. Nature will empower it. that becomes the wind beneath our wings. Otherwise, it's our effort and no support. I firmly believe in the grace factor. The grace factor. Grace factor happens only when we have great gratitude. We should be grateful for every breath and we should be grateful for everything we do. Gratefulness has a lot of value. And mostly what happens is we miss that in today's world. We take everything for granted. And that the loss is the grace. People may not realize it, but if with grace you can do wonders. But sometimes what happens, we get carried away with our daily life and we start, oh, I am great. I'm doing all these things. So I am not ordinary. It's a trap, big trap. I believe that everything is happening through me. With or without Mohanji, the world will function. I'm not important more than what I'm delivering right now. Tomorrow, I don't know. So we have to understand and we have to be humble about it. There's nothing to be proud. If I am able to touch lives, I'm happy. And how long, I don't know. How long this heart will beat, I don't know. But I don't have to know. Today is my day. Today we are talking, and that's the reality. So we live every day, we love every day, and we continue every day. But just got to be very grateful about no wastage, no, using minimal things, and don't try to cram things up, clutter things up, etc., so that we can have a clean lifestyle. I'm telling people more about a clean lifestyle than a spiritual lifestyle, because spirituality happens when you are when you have no clutter.
So most of the time when I talk to youngsters, today's youngsters, the spirituality, what is spirituality? So that, like, if you I'm sure that you have experienced and you can see around you, people are so much sorrows in the people's
Yeah,
lives. They're just, most of the time they're sad
yeah,
because, and they're just wanting something more in their lives. They're becoming sad for that. So
yes,
there we can see less happiness than more sorrows in our societies
that's correct.
everywhere
Yeah.
around the world. So why it is happening? Why we're not happy? Why we're not happy, Mohanji?
One word is expectation, Nupur. See, the thing is, like, for example, first point I'll explain what is spirituality. We have our body, tangible body, which has requirements like food, water, etc. Then we have a reasonably tangible mind. Mind also has a requirement. Mind's requirement is emotion, and intellect, intelligent requirement is information, and ego's requirement is ownership. These three things we can feel inside. So these are the closer to earth matters. That is, the body is very, very well connected to earth. Mind, intellect, and ego are also associated with earth and earthly life. But then there is an electricity, just like the electricity is operating so that I can see you because the light is there. The light is provoked by or provided by electricity. If electricity was not there, there won't be light. Just like that, electricity is there inside us. We call it Atma Tattva or soul principle, the soul aspect. And this electricity is electrifying our body, mind, intellect, and ego. Understanding this electricity is spirituality. Being aware of this electricity is spirituality. Just like the electricity comes into the light bulb, you get light. When the same electricity goes into a washing machine, it has a different function. Same electricity goes into refrigerator, function changes. Like that, this electricity is the same, but its functions are different. That is why numerous creations in the world. Inside it's the same electricity. So understanding and identifying this electricity in everything is God realization. So self-realization is understanding the self inside, means being aware of it and feeling it. Actually, you have to experience it. That is self-realization. And understanding that same electricity in everything, that becomes God realization because you see the expanse of it. Now, why are we suffering? Because of only one reason: identification. We identify see, I am identifying myself as Mohanji because the world will not accept me as anything else. Every day, everybody say, Mohanji, I'm happy to meet you, I'm glad to see you. So Mohanji, Mohanji, Mohanji keeps coming to me. So I believe I am Mohanji. I have to maintain this identification, otherwise people won't recognize me. So this identification comes with expectations. Mohanji has expectations, and expectations may not happen as per our expectation. Sometimes it doesn't work. Expectations lead to disappointments. And sometimes, if it is fulfilled, happy, no problem. But if it is not fulfilled, disappointment. Disappointment leads to lack of self esteem. Our self esteem is affected. Sometimes we feel, hey, did I make a mistake? And then society does not permit mistakes, right? Society only likes successful people.
True.
Losers, we don't want to see. But success and failure are part of life. We must accept both. We have fallen down many times before we learn to walk. Nobody started walking straight away. So this understanding is important. That will give us balance. So expectation is the root cause of sorrows. And if we are flexible. Okay, my purest intention, good intention is to make this happen. But if it didn't happen, okay, I will take the next step. I'll take a detour. I will go elsewhere. So if we are flexible, we will have less sorrows. Flexibility is the key. Now we know with this COVID situation, we are forced to be flexible.
True. True.
See, why we are talking through a machine because of COVID, right? Otherwise, I would have probably come to Tokyo. We would have spoken directly. So various levels of restrictions happened with COVID, and we saw that. So that makes us realize that things which are beyond our control demands flexibility in us. So, why are people in sorrows? Because of expectations, and that leads to anger, lack of self esteem, depression. All these things happen. So, I would always say that you must, if you really spend time, a little bit time with yourself to see and feel your own principle, which is making you alive, keeping you alive, it will be greatly helpful to stabilize life. Otherwise,
Right.
expectations cannot be eradicated. It's part of our system. Society expects something from you. Like, for example, Nupur is doing the show. So people who are watching the show is expecting you to do the show. You can't say that I will not do any more shows because there is an expectation connected. So these things you can't avoid. But at the same time, you need to accept that there can be changes. So you can avoid frustrations a lot, avoid disappointments quite a bit, and becoming flexible. So, okay, this is not working, so I shift to here. The more flexible you are, the more successful you are.
That's what a wonderfully you said. More flexible you are, more successful you are. And that is, I think, for all the youth today, not only
Yeah.
youth, whoever is even in their 40s, also 50s, also starting their lives. We can
Yeah.
start our lives at any age, I guess. So
Age is age is not important. Attitude is important. Age
that
is if our attitude is negative, whatever age you are, it is useless. If our attitude is positive, we can make something out of nothing.
what a wonderful way you said it. I think today, everywhere, the whole world should know about it that we'll have more happiness in our lives.
Yeah.
So, so I think how yoga meditation can be our part and should be our part of our life. Like, what do you suggest?
Well, they are essential because it's reconnection.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga connects you to yourself, right? It unites you to yourself. Meditation is basically going within, and I also believe in contemplation, manana. Manana is also important, contemplation. We need to ask this question: what is this thing about? What is Mohanji? Or what is you? What is A, B, or C? We must ask this question to ourselves so that it leads you to explore. Self exploration is important. Spending time with yourself is important. Self exploration is important. And also understanding something. For example, 80% of your vital functions like heartbeat, respiration, circulation, digestion, you have no control. Without this, we are not alive. So we must start thinking about these factors. See, mainly most of the things that are very important in our life, we have no control. So what do we have control on? These questions should come from within. That will help us our connection to ourselves. And also we have great masters have given easy philosophy Like they have said about watch your breath. So it is being aware that you are breathing, being aware that you are thinking. I would say that today people say, "Oh, Mohanji, I have no time to meditate. I'm busy." I said, don't. I always say, don't meditate. Who said? Who told you to meditate? But do one thing. Without your mind being present, do not speak. Without your mind being present, do not do anything. So no action or no expression without your mind present. That means presence of mind. That is meditation. Being here now is meditation. So you're walking, you're doing things, you go through your daily chores, no problem. But let it be with presence of mind. No absent-minded activity, no automatic absent-minded activity. That itself will shift you. Just watch. And then at some time, oh, my heart is beating. Feel the heartbeat. Second level, you feel the heartbeat, that heart is resting. It's not beating continuously, beating, resting. Understand that rhythm. That is again connection to you. Just like if you are observing your breath, observe the space between the breath. Inhalation, exhalation, inhalation, exhalation, exhalation, inhalation. There is a gap. Be aware of the gap. Just see that, just for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, slowly increase. You see how much powerful you become just by observing yourself and conserving energy that way. Otherwise, our energy is all going out. Eyes takes the maximum energy, visual, then the other senses. But these things can't be avoided. But in the whole show called life, we can be well aware of ourselves, and that's the big thing you can achieve in this life, right? What else
Yes,
you can achieve?
exactly. That's true. So we have to be conscious all the time.
Being
Anything we do,
conscious.
we have to be consciously. We have to do
Being
things
conscious. That's a
consciously.
meditation. That's a living meditation, practical meditation.
Hmm. So we talked about expectations from ourselves, from the society. So what Mohanji expects from Mohanji?
Basically nothing. Basically nothing. What I do is that, like, I did not know last month that we're going to talk today. So it just happened and I flow with it. And whatever I do, I give myself 100%. This is all I can promise to myself. I don't usually do something half-hearted. Like, for
Hmm.
example, if I really don't want to do something, I would say, I would excuse myself. I'm very sorry, but I can't do this. So at least we do not keep two faces. No hypocrisy. One face, real and consistent, so that every day, yesterday, today, tomorrow, day after, I'm the same. I don't change as per the fluctuation. So it gives a lot of stability to the people connecting to me. But in regular relationships, what happens? It keeps fluctuating, right? It depends on
Yes.
moods, it depends on various factors. But in my connection, it's stable because I do not change every day. I'm same. So my contribution to myself, or my communication, or my uh, what do you call, the promise to myself, is stability, and this which I practice.
So introvert Mohanji, today in front of me, you are enlightening the whole world. Like, when did you feel that yes, I should speak? I am confident to speak. When did you feel that consciousness came?
That's a very tricky question for me. Well, I think I never felt it. When people started coming to me and they started telling, we are getting a lot of peace in your presence, and what you say is transforming us, and people really started coming, and people started responding to my presence in many countries wherever I go. That made me automatically. If I am given a choice, I would have withdrawn. In fact, to be very honest, I actually went to Himalayas to stay there 3 times when I was working. I decided I had enough of corporate life. Now I would wander as a monk. Left 3 times, and 3 times somebody sent me back. One time it was a young boy around 15 or 16. I was sitting in one place. He just walked in and asked me, "What are you doing here?" in Hindi. I said, "Who?" I never. I mean, he looked like a shepherd to me, and authoritatively he's asking. And I said, "I come here to meditate." And he said, "No, no, no, go back. People are waiting for you." This was many years ago. And at that time, nobody was even there to pick me up from the airport. Means I was working in a company, and of course, my driver would pick me up. But I'm saying that there was nobody knew me. Nobody knew me as Mohanji. So that time, because one way or the other, I was pushed back to this world. I always used to say I was searching for the source of sounds because I was in a world of noises. We are all in world of noises, so many noises. And I was really, really trying to dig deeper into the source of noises. The source of noises is silence. All noises came from silence, and all noises go back to silence. So silence is like the ocean. Noises are like waves. So I literally was spending time years, like early morning, I wake up and I try to connect to my spine and I go deeper and deeper into the world into the silence. And I found it. Finally, I became kind of established in silence where I had nothing to do with external noises. Even though I was working, I was interacting, but internally I was totally silent. When I say silence, it's also mean no thoughts, thoughtless state. So after a while, when this happened, that's the time when I had the urge to go to a place where it is suitable, the frequency matches in Himalayas, in some cave or whatever. It's very silent. So I was thinking, okay, I should go there, and then I was sent back. So where am I coming back to? World of noises. But that's I already distanced from that world of noises with my own effort. Then later on, I had to come back to the world of noises, but I came back as silence. And that makes the difference here. People are coming to see the silence, not the noises. So it's not my speech or my lecture, but it's my state people are connecting to today. So that made the introvert into something else. It converted the introvert into a stable source of silence, and that source of silence is what people are connecting to. This is my understanding. This is what I feel. So that does not need a demonstration. That's visible. If people have eyes to see, they will see. If they don't have eyes to see, it's not my cup of tea then, or it's not my calling, or it's not my problem. Because those who have eyes to see will see. Those who are blind need not see. That's simple. So for me, that's why I told in the beginning, I don't usually keep any agenda. The people who are coming to me are coming with clarity. Usually, some people come to test. That is okay. That's part of the show. Some people come to test and they go away. But mostly people who stay, who are consistently staying, they have clarity and they stay.
That's so beautiful. And definitely, that is the presence, your presence, even as I said, when I started, even miles away, I can feel that positivity. That is today the day started with little bit negativity, but I can feel that it is compensating, that I got more positivity now than the day started with. So even your grandfather also, I read, said that this boy will make us proud, I think.
Yeah. That was soon after this episode in school, where I
Mhm.
wrote I would like to be alone, and they were thinking of changing the school, etc. My grandfather said, "Leave him alone. Don't worry. Leave him alone. One day, our whole clan will be known because of him."
So he was an astrologer.
He was an astrologer, but he was a wise man. He used to know astrology. He used to know so many things. He made a school for the village, and the whole architecture he did. He never learned architecture, but it was his plan. So he was a visionary, very very big visionary. Yeah.
And your family is still there, and still there. Your parents are still,
My father and mother are with me here in Bangalore.
and today I think that boy who wrote that I want to be alone, and they felt ashamed of you today. I think they're today they're so proud of you.
I think so. In fact, my father translated most of my writings into local language, into my mother tongue. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he did. Yeah. He's 87. My father is 87 now. My mother is close to 80.
My pranam to them.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yes, so how things change. The boy, once in his childhood made them ashamed of him, and today the whole world, they are getting, getting so much recognition because of him. So things change, and this is all the, as you said, the nature had planned, and I think you are just following the path and enlightening the people.
I believe so because I think it would be destiny, not that I something I created. I don't think I
Mhm.
created anything. I'm
Mhm.
just going with the flow.
So you believe in destiny.
It does. From birth to death, there is a roadmap, right? And
Mhm.
that roadmap is taking us to wherever we are. Everything that we do has a plan. Like we wake up in the morning and where we are going to sleep and where we wake up, there is a plan. We think that we planned it, but often not. Like if we had planned it, we would have planned for Corona situation, COVID
Totally.
situation. We didn't, right? So
Totally.
there is something, there's a larger plan which is happening in individual life as well as collectively in the world. So I believe that we are all floating in that particular thing. But Nupur, I believe in frequencies. See, if the
Mhm.
frequency doesn't match, just like a television, there are so many channels in the air, but unless we have the frequency connects to the TV, that we will not see the picture. That
That's true.
frequency, like that, there is a frequency between every being. The animals, etc., use it very well. Their communication is also even connected to that. Even various saints in Himalayas use this technique. They know certain things. They communicate with people without any kind of gadgets because they can. So frequency is a reality, and this frequency is what attracts people, or connects people or stabilizes people. So this, if a frequency is not matching, we can't communicate. Okay, or temporarily we can, but on a larger plane we can't.
That's that's
So yeah,
that's very true. That's larger scale we cannot. Yeah,
yeah,
temporarily we can. So
yes,
it is like Mohanji. I think we just so much to learn from you. And I today I feel after as you said, people should have one face only, not double faces. So they
yeah,
cannot be in peace. To be and at peace or realize who we are, actually, we have to have only one face. So with
yes,
that one face, I'm saying that I feel so much honored, and I feel this is just, one interview is not enough to know you and your vision, your so much experience, and the things you are doing for humanity. So many things you are doing all over the world for humanity. And for me, I believe I'm a spiritual being, but for me, like today, as you said last time, that I'm not a guru, I'm a companion rather. So
yes.
in Indian culture, mostly we see a lot of guru culture. So what made you really think that no, I don't want to be a guru, I want to be a companion? Why this difference?
Well,
What
see,
is different?
yeah, I found the guru, real guru, sitting inside us. You have a guru sitting inside you, which is your soul, and beyond that guru, that's your personal guru. The soul. It teaches you detachment. It teaches you non the no space, no birth, no death. It eternity. Everything sits inside you. So when I found that, what are these outside gurus about? Only guides, right? Lord Dattatreya had 24 gurus and they were all guides to pointing to your own guru. So what I can maximum do is to take you to yourself. And when you find your guru, you are settled. So this understanding is very clear in me. So that's why I don't have to pretend to be guru. See, when I'm playing with my daughter Mila, I'm a father. When I'm with my wife, I'm a husband. When I'm with my father, I'm a child. So we are playing all these roles. Why should we put a frame around one role, which is not necessary? Now, people connect to me as a friend. Some people connect to me as father. Some people connect to me as a guru. Whatever they connect, I accept, and they connect to me accordingly, and it gives them satisfaction, which is okay for me. Because of me, they are satisfied. I'm happy about it. So we don't have to be anything, Nupur. We are everything. So why should we keep one frame? Don't you think it restricts us? I like to be flowing like a river, not knowing the destination. I like it that way. And I know ocean is waiting. So we don't have to really worry whether we flow left or right. Finally, we are reaching the ocean. So I like to give people realistic guidance, and I don't like to give people. See, I have not learned scriptures, or I don't quote from books at all, because I feel that they are all good, they are great. But the thing is that why should we put frames at all? Okay, this is how it is. When we say that's how it is, then people like to think only in that level. A good teacher only tells you where to look, not what to see. What to see is your choice. You see as you like. Where to look, I will tell you. Look within. I'm giving very clear picture. Look inside. You, whatever you are looking for, you will find. And there is nobody greater or lesser or equal to you. You are unique, and your uniqueness is your authenticity. This is the truth. So for that, when I look at anybody, I see them authentic, I see them true, and I see a guru in them. Then how can I say I am the guru? It's very difficult for me. Otherwise, I'm lying. I have to lie. Hey, look here, I am the guru. You don't look anywhere else. That means I'm trying to mislead you. I can't. It's not good. Hypocrisy is not our cup of tea. Correct?
So it just helps to have the self-realization.
Correct. No, beyond self-realization, total dissolution. Self-realization is realizing the self inside you. That happens anyway, some point in time. But dissolution is the drop falling into the ocean and becoming the ocean. It has the whole experience of the ocean, God realization.
That's wonderfully, and I'm sure that those viewers all are today they're watching and they're getting enlightened, and they will be waiting for you more and more. So this is just our first episode, so it'll be because world needs to know, world needs to learn, and world needs to get enlightened. So before we end the interview, I have a rapid fire for you.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is going to be a very friendly rapid fire, you and me. So very simple question. So what is your favorite food?
Vegan food. I'm a
Vegan.
vegan. Yeah.
Okay. So all kind in vegan, what is your favorite? Any particular dish?
Well, I like the South Indian cuisine, like dosa. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we have in
Okay.
South Indian food is my
South
favorite.
Indian food.
Dosa,
Okay.
sambar, and stuff. Yeah.
Dosa sambar. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. I also love dosa sambar. So next time when I'll be visiting, I'd love to have share food with you.
Welcome, welcome, always.
Thank you so much. Your favorite place in around the world?
Where people love me, wherever people love me, I like to go there. I visited many places, but it's not about places. It's about the hearts. Wherever
Mhm.
people love me, I like to be there.
Your favorite person?
I would say God. I like to be ecstatically drunk with God.
So beautifully you said. And definitely, do you have any favorite car? Any favorite vehicle?
Vehicle. Well, not necessarily, but I mean, I'm not. I love bikes a lot. Two.
Okay, you love bikes.
Yeah,
Okay,
cars
anything?
I think is a bit too tame for me. But now I don't get permission to travel in bikes too much because people are afraid that I will meet with an accident, etc. Many people are security oriented. They want to keep me alive. So, but otherwise, I love Harley Davidson kind of vehicle, and in car I love Mercedes Benz. There's so many cars. In fact, even Toyota I like. So not easy to say.
Okay, so just tell me in one word of these things. Politics.
Um, Service. Politics should be service, not the politics that we see today, the ego based, ownership based, control based, fear based. It is absolutely not politics. It's manipulation. We can't even use the word politics. Politics should be service, just to serve I mean, power should be to serve the people.
Spirituality.
You're being yourself.
Your wife, Devi
Oh,
Mohanji.
Well, I would say my mirror, my reflection.
And Mila?
Mila is she's individual. She's an individual. I would like to see her as an individual, unique individual with uniqueness and her own quality. I never ask her to imitate me. I would like her to be herself. So, in a way, my heart, my reflection.
Indian media.
Indian media is a chaos. I think it's a very wild place. You know, Indian media is like Wild West.
Okay. So that was
All
it.
the media has become like that, isn't it?
True.
And social media is even more like a crucifixion every day. Now, now to
It's giving
assassinate people.
us a lot of pain actually, and that's why people are not happy, I think.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, there is good and bad. Like social media is helping us to connect, right? Otherwise, how would we have met so easily? Of course,
Exactly.
thanks to Rajiv Duggal, we met. But apart from that, the social media has its positives. But the negative, I would say that it uses to spread venom.
True.
No, we should, I always believe we should never talk bad about anybody. All are karmic beings, all have weaknesses and strengths. We should not highlight somebody's weakness and tell the people and make a shame of that person. That's mean and that diminishes us, not them. So I believe that we can talk positive about people, good things they do in the world. This is okay. Let the weaknesses be. Everybody has weaknesses. Let it be. So this is what I feel. So social media is both good and bad that way.
That's true. That's totally true.
Yeah.
So, Mohanji, it was pleasure having you, and thank you for enlightening us. And those whoever is watching today, they will be so much enlightened. And I'm sure they will text me that they want more of you. So we'll be waiting for
I'm
your.
there for you. I'm there for you. I'm there.
So we'll be
Anytime.
waiting for your next episode, definitely.
Anytime. Anytime. Wish you great success and wish all the audience a great life ahead. Be connected to yourself and do your best for the world and have a great life. Richness is inside. You can choose to be rich by sharing what you have, whatever you have. Not just money, skill, time, love, anything you have, you share. So I wish great success to all of you.
Thank you so much, and it means a lot to us. And you said that it is going to be a great success, and I'm sure that it is going. Since it is going to be a great success.
It will be.
Thank you so much, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for
Thank you
your
so much.
time.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Nupur. Thanks a lot. All the
Namaste.
best.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohanji. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, and take care of yourself.
Thank you. Take care. All the best.
So that was the episode number 14 with Mohanji, and I'm sure you are enlightened by now. The next Saturday we'll be back with another dynamic guest. Before that, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel Yoga Nanupur, and we're on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Do follow us because your love and support mean a lot to us. So I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself and love yourself too. Subratri, good night, Vesminasai. Namaste.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.